So it is 6:06 via my computer. I'm not going by that, but I am calling this Select Board Sewer Commissioners meeting to order. We have 3 members present and 2 members absent. I'm going to start. This meeting is being recorded by the Town of West Boylston staff. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, folks. Do you guys hear an echo, or am I just really loud?
No.
You don't hear an echo? Okay, thank you. All right. All right. The first item on our agenda is public comment. This is a 15-minute period of time. It's an opportunity for the public to address concerns with the board. When you step up, we ask for your name, your address. Except during urgent circumstances, the board cannot take any action or acknowledge and have a conversation of direct dialogue with folks, but the board can, at a future date, put an item on the agenda based on the board's discretion. So at this time, I normally would say hybrid and in person. There are a few of you here, I imagine, to see me. If you would like to come forward, I just ask that you, just come sit right up here. There's a microphone. You'll be famous. And just state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Martha Ann Adams.
Okay.
I've been the director of the West Boylston Food Pantry for the past 10 years. I also do assembly of Meals on Wheels 2 days a week up at the West Boylston Senior Center. I just wanted to let you know about a program that Lisa initiated.
Recording in progress.
Sorry. Yeah, you're good.
That Lisa initiated with the West Boylston Food Pantry to make sure that seniors that are unable because of transportation, ambulation issues, or just embarrassment weren't coming into the food pantry to get food. So what happened is that she and I set up a partnership where she would not give me the names of the people, but would tell me I have 7 people that need food. I would bring the food up to her and she would deliver it to those seniors in need. For the seniors in town that have religious, medical, nutritional, or cultural issues that can't eat the food that's at the food pantry, we transitioned to Stop and Shop food cards for them. And Lisa would hand those out. I know it's not on the job posting, but I'm hoping that this partnership can stay with whoever takes over for Lisa and becomes the new director, because I think it's very important that we don't lose these seniors, and we can't currently at the pantry deliver food to all the people in town. I mean, it's just overwhelming. We usually have about 62 families that physically come into the food pantry. We deliver to 20 currently, and then we have people randomly that come, and that's not including how many Lisa delivers to. But she was doing that on her free time and making sure that all the seniors in town were taken care of. So I just am hoping that the new director, somehow we can, I know that you have an outreach thing that says she will outreach to people in need, but she actually was bringing the food to the people. And I think that's very important, because she would know better than I probably whether the people needed other services. Although a lot of seniors unfortunately do come into the to the West Boylston Food Pantry, you would be surprised at who comes in and how many. Over the holidays, our numbers go up to 125 people that come in. And it's for West Boylston residents. And I just want to make sure that you know it's for West Boylston residents. Because of the funding that's been cut with the USDA food, we didn't get as much food as we usually get. We just had, yesterday, we had the food pantry open. And we got no produce at all. Not an apple, not an orange. Usually we get a lot of produce. We get potatoes, things like that. We did get, which was unusual, 12 cases of Girl Scout cookies, which was nice, but not real nutrition for anybody. So, and I just wanted to publicly thank Lisa. I've worked with a lot of senior center directors, and she's the first one that reached out and said, I will cover this need. I will bring the food to the people. I will make sure that nobody is left out in West Boylston. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So thank you very much.
Do we have her contact information? Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for letting us know, and
Yeah.
I'll leave it with the powers that be.
Okay,
Thank
thank you very
you.
much.
I'm gonna call out, we do have another select board member attending via Zoom. Jay, just, you can hear us?
I can hear you. I'm all set.
All right. Do we have anyone else that would like to come up for public comment?
Dave Femia, 86 Sterling Street. I just wanted to let you know that last Friday and then this Friday and the following Friday, Lisa will not be at the senior center. The Council of Aging is going to have a representative. I will be there. I was there last Friday. I'll be there this Friday, and next Friday I will cover the morning. Mr. Callahan, another member of the Council of Aging, will cover the afternoon. So the program, Friday's programming, morning and afternoon, will not be disrupted. Come the 1st of May, I don't know what the plan is, but I'm hoping that the board is working on that. So I just wanted you guys to be aware that those 3 Fridays are being taken care of by the board. And of course, we don't have much of a board anymore, but anyways, so just wanted to let you know that it's being covered, okay?
That is great. Thank you so much. Are you- No, you're not coming up? I thought the kids were gonna come up and give a public comment. I was like, this is gonna be interesting.
What?
Mr. Toppin, do you have public comment? I see him standing. It's coming. Of course I do. All right, come on up. You have to sit though, because you're taller than I am if you stand.
I have to sit.
No, I'm kidding you. Just to give you, yeah, now.
Should I
know
use
it's
the
gonna say-
microphone?
Oh, yeah.
So am I to understand I only have 15 minutes to share with you?
No, it's collective 15 minutes.
Oh, collective 15
No.
minutes.
I'm gonna give
You
you.
can barely say anything.
No, I gave you 3 before. Now you get 5. Go for it. I know you have a lot to say. Let's do it.
No, I don't really have a lot to say. I would like to point out for the record that
Name
we
and address,
have.
sorry.
Oh, Dave Toppin, 160 West Boylston Street. We have a Board of Selectmen that doesn't have valid oaths of office, and probably everybody else in town too, and I'd just like to point that out, despite what the town council may say, and I do appreciate you reaching out to me and answering questions. There's a rumor of a 2.5 override, and I come to say, we will beat you again. We beat you last time, and we're not gonna put up with the town spending more money. And don't threaten to take away our trash. Cut it out somewhere else. The school budget is what, half of what the town spends? Cut it. Tell the superintendent to pick people to get rid of, and tell him that it's not gonna be teachers. Tell him to cut the administration. I don't think anybody, I'm not going to say nobody's going to support it, but I think that we'll defeat it 400 to 100, just like we did last time. So that is all I have to say tonight. Have a great night.
You did it last time. Thank you. You don't have to stand and you don't have to sit. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
I'm Alessa Ashwell, 139 Woodland Street. And I'm actually here to voice support for putting on the override, at least on the town meeting agenda. Sorry. Perhaps with more options, though, than last time, because I will say that a lot of people that I've talked to in town have said that that 5-year term scared them away, and they would have voted for a smaller term. So I think whether it's multiple options or if that's too hard, to do something smaller, I think it could be approved. I think, I would really hate to see that the trash service end up being taken away. I think that that would not only increase costs for people individually by the numbers you guys were giving before, but also put more burden on our elderly people to have to haul their own trash away. I would hate to see the library go and all of the services they offer. I'd also hate to see any funding cut to schools. My kids are in classes with 26 students in their class, when the Massachusetts standard is no more than 18. And the nationwide standard that they say by studies done is best for kids is 13 kids. So they're in classes that are double that. So if we have to cut any teachers, any administrators, anything, that would be real devastating to the schools as well. So I would be in support of the override and just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you very much.
Hello, David Ashwell, 139 Woodland Street. I too would be in favor of bringing the override up at the town meeting. I would also like to hope that we can at least get a couple of basic slides to make sure that the public are aware of how and where those funds went, even just a couple large pie charts, something to make sure that it's easily consumable for them to understand where things have gone, why things are getting more expensive, largely inflation-based, but a few other things that I'm sure are in the mix. I think if the town can more easily digest what funds are getting spent where, what has gone up due to inflation, et cetera, they can make a more informed decision. And I feel like a lot of folks were flying a little blind last year, so I hope that with a little bit better information, even if it's, I know a lot of folks will not see the finance board meetings or that kind of stuff. So even if it's just a condensed version of a couple of pie charts that we can put up during that townwide meeting, maybe we can get a few of the people to come around to the idea that we need to adjust our expectations on what the budget is and what it can provide our town. Thank you.
Can I follow up on that with just saying there's gonna be the education things? Just announce those.
Then you have to answer for me.
It's fine.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay, I'll do this. That's good.
Chris
Oh.
Berglund, Good Street. I understood, I learned tonight that our select board chair is going to be running in a marathon. And I think it's appropriate that we wish her well and success, and I'm sure she'll get a lot out of it. Lots of luck.
Thank you. Do you have another minute? Do you have anything to say since you're on the finance board about what slides will be put up? No, I'm kidding. Just joking. All right, thank you. Is there anyone else? I don't want to, once, twice? I'm going to close it. One of you are going to yell at me after because you want to say something. Are you sure? All right, see? I knew there'd be one. I almost can bet I know what this one's going to say.
Sorry, again, David Ashwell, 139 Woodland. Also, if the library were to be on the, considering to be cut, I believe last year we voted to put a new furnace into that building. That's still a public town building, which means we would still have to heat a non-functional library throughout the winter if we were to close that building. So we would literally be throwing money into an incinerator. Thank you.
All right, that's it. Public comment is closed. Moving over to some more exciting items. So review and vote to approve the warrants for the period covering April 3rd, 2025 through April, this one doesn't have a date. I'm gonna go with April 16th, 2025. They are printed, these are as printed in the warrant. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Do
Second.
I- Second. Roll call. Jay?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mark?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda. I think I saw someone walk in, but, emergency call, call-in stipend for, inspectors after hours. $200 up to 4 hours. I know we have some stuff in the packet. Do we want to chat about that?
I can provide a very brief thank you, Kay. I can provide a very brief explanation. Our inspector services are, the inspectors are compensated on a per permit basis. What is happening is if there's an emergency call after hours and they have to respond, say there's an incident where a car strikes a building or a telephone pole or something, and somebody is called in after hours, there would be no permit that would be associated with that incident, so therefore there's no compensation for that incident. So what we're requesting is a $200 stipend up to, or compensation up to 4 hours to compensate that individual that gets called in at 1 o'clock in the morning when there's an emergency.
welcome to the
Thank you.
first, I just thought about this, you haven't been here for months. You've been here for
I've
3
been-
days.
Yeah, 3 days.
Welcome, this is our new town administrator, and I didn't think to even acknowledge that it's the first meeting that I've had you at, or your first select board meeting, so guys, welcome Heather Butler, she is our new town administrator, and for some reason, it feels like you've been here a few months already, so my,
Certainly does.
so I have a few questions on this. And you might not have the answers, but when I look at emergency stipends, I also think, does an emergency constitute 515? Do this now be where we have people, how does this get managed or have direct oversight? Because what I would hate to see is in 6 months from now, we say we had 27 emergencies, select board, and that is now this money and we need a budget fix, and then I'm gonna go,
So if you don't mind.
of
Yeah,
course.
sure.
Go
So,
for it.
this recently came up, there was a small fire at the old, cinema overnight. And the electrical inspector was called in because there was an electrical fire of some sorts. And that's when the building commissioner came to me and said, so we don't have an emergency call-in? And I said, I don't think we do. And I said, I don't know what we've done, so I, went to accounting, and we're not really sure, they didn't ever put in for it. So with this would be like, I think 911 call-in. This would not be our inspectors deciding this was an emergency call-in. So I think the backup to that would be, police logs, so if there was, like I said, a fire, they get called in. If there's, somebody hits a building and there's an electrical concern, they would get called in. I don't think it would be plumbing, I think it really comes to the electrical. And also those, alternate building inspectors that we have, they would fall under this too, because they're getting paid as needed. So because we make those calls in emergency situation overnight, that's what it comes down to.
Christina?
And
I-
our
oh,
office, sorry,
sorry.
our office does sign off on the building department's payroll.
okay,
So if there was, I don't believe there would be an excess of requests, or for those payments, we would see that in our office.
And I think that the fact that it's never come up until now might be evident of how frequently it's an issue.
Jay, I think I heard you say something?
Yeah, and Heather just brought up the point that I was going to ask. I mean, this can't be the only time that's ever come up. So, I mean, do we have any understanding of how it's been compensated, or if it's been compensated in the past?
So again, not that we're aware, I think if this was something that was happening in the past, the request would have come to us sooner.
Yeah.
And it's not coming from the electrical, the inspectors, it's coming from the commissioner saying, I was there, they were there, how are they getting paid? So,
Okay, good.
Do we know how other towns handle this?
in this exact manner, this was the recommendation from the commissioner to us.
All right, go ahead.
Is this recoverable, like in an emergency situation, like through the fire department or through the police department or something like that?
I think the payments for the inspectors come out of a revolving fund, a budget. It comes out of budget money, and we have appropriated money for inspections.
Well, undoubtedly, that's what they'd be paid, but is that fee then recoverable to the,
Not
Something else.
necessarily.
But I think we could maybe look into whether, or not so in this case where the fire was with the cinema, perhaps there's responsibility there.
I mean, I just, I'm just trying to look for a place where we're not gonna blow up a budget.
So what you're looking right now is for us to vote on creating the stipend, and it's 200 up to 4 hours. I understand this is the first time that it's been brought to us, but I'm also thinking we had the same electrical inspector that was in town for like 30 years or something. So it was probably local people that did things. I do wonder, personally, I wish there were some like tangible boundaries on this. I'm feeling like I understand the building commissioner wants it, but if someone shows up for 5 minutes and we're paying $200 and I don't, besides coming through the police station, I don't have like,
So, when he explained this to me, his thought was, these people are getting out of bed, potentially, at 1 o'clock in the morning, driving from where they live, coming here, and I'm gonna guess it wouldn't be a 5-minute thing. I mean, they have to get on the scene. And that's why I said to him, well, what would that constitute? And he says, up to 4 hours. He says, because you have to consider these people are being taken from whatever they're doing. They could be, I don't know, if it's earlier in the night, 8 o'clock at night, they could be at their kids' sports that they're leaving to go there because it's an emergency situation.
Is this 200 per hour or 200 for 4
Flat.
hours?
It's a flat for up to 4 hours.
so I'm just gonna, I'll put it to, a vote of the board. I wish I had something from him with recommendations from what these are. I just feel a little concerned, because a few things have backfired that I thought were easy and would never happen, and then they happen, and someone goes, well, why didn't you think that would happen? And then I sit here and go, because everyone told me you'd be okay. Go ahead, Vanessa.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this until the next meeting. We can get a little bit more information.
So you don't need to take a motion. We can just table it until the next meeting, would be fine. That's the chair's call. And I'm okay with that, and I can ask Tony to give me the other communities.
Just to also
He
see
did tell
what the
it
history
me.
is. If we can have any, if it happened maybe once every 3 years or whatever the case is.
Yeah, I'm not, okay.
We can see if the other communities have actual policies, so we can.
I just
dig
wish there
into
was a
this.
little, I would say I'd like to table it. I just need a little more rigor around, I know it's, like, I wanna see who's in charge of actually overseeing.
Yeah, it
I
would
know it's
be-
gonna be you,
Well, it would be us because we signed the payroll.
but that's after the payrolls are
Yeah, you
incurred.
couldn't
Like,
deny
like, there's no, like, check and balance there.
Well, if we had concerns then, we could definitely get the backup before we signed the payroll. Because this is not really payroll. It would be a stipend, so.
But it's the same, it's taxpayer money. Yeah, I was gonna say it gets paid from payroll, it's the same money, but it's just a different, how we classify it. So I'd say let's table it, let's get something from him in writing, and then just something on how it will actually be managed. I just hate, I don't want it to come back to this table and then we're forced to react to something, and now someone said they did something, and now we're in the management of that. I wanna kinda
Fair enough.
put a little boundary, so, all right, so we're gonna
And-
table
and-
that.
And something about recovery. I mean, if other communities do something with insurance or the building or whatever they do.
Yeah, I think the hard part is like, say, somebody driving down Route 12 drove their car through someone's building because there was a medical concern. I mean, whose fault does that come to? The driver of the car, the owner of the building?
Building inspector? No. Ours? No. So,
I'm not sure. We would have to look at
Let's
how we
just,
could collect.
yeah, let's
Okay.
table it till next time. The next item on our agenda is accept the donation town received for the Council on Aging between January 1st, 2025 and March 31st, 2025 in the amount of $400 from local residents. Do we need to vote? Yes.
So
Do I
move.
have so moved, do I have a second?
Second.
Jay?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mark?
yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Okay. Moving a little quick, I'm gonna skip town meeting for just a second. I'm gonna go, we have a list in the agenda, a list of appointments and resignations. We have a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have a list of 7 resignations. The board is just acknowledging,
Lisa's is a retirement.
oh, sorry, five resignations and the acknowledgement of Lisa's retirement. This isn't a board vote, this is us acknowledging them. And for the retirement, just would like to thank our senior center director and congratulate her on her retirement. Now I'm gonna move to town meeting, because I have a feeling that's gonna be a little more in-depth. And you've been here 3 days, so Heather, you have it figured out, you have a game plan, and you're ready to go.
So if I could go back to
We don't have to vote on
Thursday evening,
it. Yep.
when confident Heather,
I wasn't here, so I heard it was good.
enthusiastic Heather, well, just that person was here. And when she said, give me a couple of days to get familiar with the budget and work with the finance team, I will bring forward more information, and I believe I actually committed to a number for the budget and where the cuts are being made, as well as any potential deficit. So that particular Heather is gone.
Oh.
She's gone. She has been replaced.
We have to hire again?
Yeah, you do. So I spent the last couple of days pretty much isolated with Faye and Leslie as they have downloaded what they have been working on for the last, 3 months. You have in front of you a couple of pages. I think it's a format that you might be familiar with from your town meeting warrant document.
Which one are we looking
Oh,
at?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Two?
And
This one's the one you're looking at.
What's the other one you have? I don't know the other one.
Yeah, this one.
is there another document?
No, it's just this, it's just the one that Leslie just handed us, that is stapled. Mark.
That might be,
She's got more. It's not fair.
Oh, this is,
left on the table.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
this is what was just
I
handed.
have no idea what
this
this
is
is
what
then.
we're looking at,
Never mind.
Okay,
okay?
Very good.
all right.
And you have two columns of numbers, and we're gonna focus on the first column, which is what we're referring to as motion or option A. And you'll note that as you travel down the comment section to there's A's and B's. So if we're focusing on those cuts that have an A in front of them, you'll see that these are the first cuts made from department requests that total okay, Leslie, the last
What?
page, yep, last page. The amount of cuts, $798,303 cut from your general budget. And I guess I would like to sort of make a quick note here that so much of any municipality's budget is regulated by either statutory requirements, contracted services, debt service. So to get this level of cuts out of your budget is already an achievement. There are items in here that are on page 4 of your sheets, are itemized. There are some contractual issues, reduced election wages, reductions to police and fire services. It does include the school, school layoffs at the total of 545. That's obviously the most of it. And then there are some insurance, the reductions to health insurance that get you to that 798,303. Column B is deeper cuts that would make up the difference should you not be successful at a Proposition 2.5 override. And those cuts total $915,000.
Real quick, can I just clarification, just a little,
Yeah.
so what I think I hear and know that was done is we took what our base budget is, like we do every year, added in what our growth is, which is, our growth numbers are small than expected. took our contracted cost and said, here's our proposed budget, right? Here's what we know contractually we have to pay for things. And what I hear is, we took that, we did the first round, which was what can we cut to close the gap between what we owe or what we need to pay and what we actually have in town. And that first one went through a variation here just as a high level. Before even this motion A, the school did a layoff to close their gap of 9 positions for that amount of money. And then what suggested here was to go through motion A, the original budget, and cut things like reducing training or consulting services, reducing software postage, reducing hours, extra hours, cutting down hours kind of in the town hall for employees of the town hall, which is a reduction in services, reducing, if you don't, I'm just going through just,
Absolutely.
we've been living this, but I think sometimes just saying it so people can hear, reducing some of the salaries across different areas by reducing the number of hours they work, removing benefits from certain places. Also, it looks like we did some work on the auditor to spread the cost over 3 years instead of trying to bear it now. Also, there was facility services trying to make smaller amounts of fixes to things. What people can associate is, we have a very extensive list of an ADA evaluation that this facilities person has been chipping away at for, God, a year and a half, and doing fabulous getting some of that work done in-house. I also see here some reductions just in the attempt in A is reduction in software contract, reduction in coverage hours for, it looks like fire staff, and reducing inspectors, department administration hours. And then what is proposed, that gets us to that, trying to close that gap, that gets us to that 700,000 number you said?
Yeah.
And what happened next is, the reality is, you gotta work with the money you have, just like we all do in our house. You went through this list on the B options, and that is taking the original cuts that are already done in one, and also instituting even deeper cuts to try to make up
The 725,000.
the 725, and those have larger impactual impacts. Okay, just saying that so you guys kind of get some line items of how we're trying to balance it without inflicting too much pain. Make it
Well,
through a
so-
cycle.
So I think that that the option A, which is taking approximately $263,000 from municipal services and the 545 away from the school. Again, we didn't take that away. I guess I should be very clear that that was a voluntary cut made by the school district in order to present a budget to the town that they knew was more in line with what the town's resources were. So in order to sort of show the parity of that, so the 725 deficit does reflect and would maintain those reductions, the 263 from the town as well as the 545 from the schools.
Okay.
So for those who are, would like to know that we have done due diligence to make sure that we have gone through to find any available reductions, that has been done. So the 725 would also reflect cuts that would not be restored even with an override.
And this also, I know all of you know probably a lot about our budget. This budget is based off of a state budget that is not approved as of yet, and it will not be approved at that time, so this is our lowest number. We go with that, hoping to get it funded at that level. But if there's any variation, that directly impacts this.
In staying on the revenue side, it also reflects conservative local receipts. We know that there is a question of whether or not there'll be a recession with how inflation plays into this, how the economy impacts people purchasing vehicles, going out to dinner, all of that would impact our local receipts. So we've also been very cautious and with our local estimates as well. So we really try to make this a very reasonable and conservative budget. Option B, which would be, should you not choose to request an override, or an override goes to town meeting and the ballot and is not successful, these are the cuts that you're looking at to make a balanced budget. And that does include the issue of the trash, and to the comments that, or the concerns that that's a threat, or that we're just sort of focusing on that just to be punitive. It is simply because closing other services, including the library and the senior center, just simply don't give you enough money. The cuts are not,
They're not big enough to
they're not
close
big
the
enough
gap.
to close that gap. So unfortunately, your trash collection becomes the only real source to be able to make up that big of a deficit.
Good job.
And then, just to be clear, so now we're saying we need to bridge a $725,000 gap?
Correct.
So the average homeowner with a base value house of $518,000 would be looking at a total increase of $235 per year, which is less than $20 per month, if you want some math.
Thank you.
So that's the 725 is the total of cuts to stay under the no override budget, or stay within the no override budget, is that what we're saying?
Repeat, I'm sorry, say that again.
You would try to balance the budget, and the way to balance the budget to close the gap would be
Right.
the removal of trash and using free cash with
Right.
some cuts to
Yeah,
close
yeah.
the budget
And
without
cuts.
doing an
And
override.
yes, thank you, because I did not mention that both of these budgets include at least $360,000 worth of free cash. You're
Consuming.
Yeah.
Oh. Jay,
Leslie,
Your
am I
wife.
saying that correctly, please?
308,000 is allowed by the financial reserve policy of the town. So we
Thank
can
you.
do up to no more than 1% of the operating budget. So there's 308.
I was gonna say, I'll make you come to the
Thank you.
big table, because
Yes.
there,
Yes.
I do have two.
And I do apologize. I've got the round numbers in my head.
Yeah.
No, that's-
I haven't been breathing this budget
But
in
just-
these numbers at quite the level that Leslie has. So I think when you get into the technicalities of the numbers, I would defer to Leslie.
So in my revenue estimate, we historically, traditionally, and structurally have to use free cash each year to make our budget. In this year for FY '26, that is at $308,000 in my estimated revenue.
All right, so this was based on just we're trying to close it without doing an override. Our first option, we close it by removing services, using the free cash, also doing some minor cuts to get that amount. Your second option also is an override, but it's also, part of it's an override to keep, no?
No.
No.
So,
So we haven't talked about override at all here.
no.
We have, option B is override,
That's
option
right,
A is
yeah.
no override.
Okay.
Option A is
Okay.
with override, option B is no
Other way
override.
around.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I was like, I'm messing.
Yep.
Bring me through the option A again, as what is, the override ask is the
725.
okay? And that's,
And that sustains services for the town. There are still significant cuts to various town departments, to the 200, because we don't have it broken out here.
Right.
263, I think is the number I've got in my head. $263,000 worth of reductions to town services and 545 in reductions to school.
I think that's a lot that
It-
we've
it-
already
it-
reduced.
So,
That's 9 positions from the schools, from a
Absolutely.
very small school system.
absolutely. So if we do those cuts, you still need an override of $725,000 to fund the expenses still in the budget.
Can I just mention one more thing about trash? So our SWAT team in town has been working diligently on getting estimates from various companies, and they have worked, around the clock to try to get us our best deal possible. And other towns are trying to get the deal that we have.
Sure.
And we have a really great deal in front of us. That being said, we did ask, how much would it be if we have to cut trash per person? Like, let's just say me as a homeowner has to go out and get my own trash now. They said it's anywhere between $700 and $800 per year. So for me personally, paying $20 a month versus $800 a year makes financial sense.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna back up the train a
Yeah,
little bit more
of
and start with, the original way we would do a budget, you can correct me if I'm saying nothing, is we would take our last year's budget and roll it and add a little bit of increase to cover all the additional expenses, like the people's salaries going up or whatever other increases are known, and that would be a budget. That's usually how we would start a budget,
Well,
something close to that?
But your base budget with
Are
your
you-
contractual
are you,
amounts.
are you talking about the expense the expense column of your budget or your revenue column?
The
of
the
budget?
expense, this side.
Okay, yeah.
What we're gonna
Yep.
spend. And then that amount is an amount, whatever it is. The next step would be to, that's not covered by our levy, or whatever we think we're gonna get in levy plus state plus whatever. And then that number over our levy is the 700,000, is that what we're thinking?
Yes.
Exactly. The whole budget process starts with the department heads being required to submit the budget for the their projected budget needs for the next fiscal year. And then I have to do the estimated revenue budget, and that is based on the governor's budget that is released in January. Because in the time frame that we have to develop the budget for town meeting, get passed, and start the fiscal year July 1, the governor's budget is generally our best bet,
When
historically.
you say the government, you mean the money that's gonna come back from the state?
Exactly, that is, in the governor's budget, they tell you what you're getting for, general municipal local aid, for your chapter 70 monies, for all of the buckets that they send to the town, and taking away the assessments as well that they make on the town for various things, such as school choice, charter school, the whole bit.
Okay.
It's a whole formula. We base what we're expecting from the state on the governor's budget. Typically, that is your best number. We are in a very atypical year, but we're not going to enter that variable into this discussion because none of us has that crystal ball. I did pretty good on the snowstorm though, so give that some credence. But basically, right now, we will not know what the state budget is likely till the summertime.
Oh, no, I'm not
So we
warranting
go
that.
ahead with your local receipts that I'm estimating based on past action, past results. And we.
But also conservatively.
Conservatively. And obviously, you start with your levy from the previous tax year. And then to that, you add the 2.5%. You add any new growth, which means there's new construction that has happened in the town that will be coming into the tax rolls, into the levy, that did not exist previously. From there, we also have to take out what we expect we're gonna have to give an allowance for abatements to the taxes, the real and personal property taxes. All of that is formulated into my revenue estimate. So then we take the
And is
ask
that
from the
number on here?
departments. Huh?
Is that number on here?
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Yep,
where
on the
is-
very last page, you will see, on the third page, I'm sorry, not the very last, the third page, the last page of your budget, you will see FY, down at the bottom, FY '26 estimated revenue.
Okay, and
Okay,
that's,
that's your 30,916,349.
yep,
That's what we can spend. Whether you then take your department asks, you take all of your costs, and you have to fit it into that revenue number.
But the number that you're talking about, the asks, are the one right above it, the 31?
Yes,
31,600,000
yep. Those are your expenditures for the year.
in requests. I mean, they're not yet.
Exactly. And below that is your income for the year, and the gap,
It's the 724,
exactly,
551.
where we're short right now. We have to submit a balanced budget. Our expenses cannot exceed our revenues.
And then Fay has, or I don't know who did it, Fay and you have talked to departments and everybody to get cuts down,
We have,
to see if, in fact, we can make the budget balance. And that's all that
that's,
A's and B's.
that's option B, that's motion B.
And that's,
Real quick, so what I heard earlier, you had 2 department head meetings for cuts, right? We had one request that went out from Leslie.
That was
Prior.
not at a department head meeting, that was individuals. emails.
Individual request asking for cuts.
And then we had an
Second one.
actual department head meeting.
Meeting say,
Yep,
we need
Yep.
as much as we can get.
correct.
Okay,
Yep.
and then, outside of that, we also went through the process of saying, thank you for giving us all that information. That's not enough money, we need more money, this is what we're picking to, and we've got to make up with it.
And that's pretty much call
What I
it
see
B.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask another question?
Yep.
So let's just say hypothetically, we have to cut trash. How does that impact the revenue side?
There is an estimate of $215,000 in the local receipts that are related to the pay-as-you-throw program.
Yeah.
That is what I'm anticipating us getting from bag sales in FY '26.
Can I ask why that number is higher than previous years?
You had a bag fee increase.
Okay.
So, and we base it on, DOR is very diligent in making sure that I don't make up wild numbers and project a revenue that we can't possibly meet. So we try to base it on the past years and what are the circumstances. Here, we had a bag fee. I can explain that to them, and they will concur that, yes, based on your previous, you raised, bags this amount of money, therefore, you are increasing your bag fees by another $15,000 this year. That's an acceptable amount, because all things are not equal. You made a rate increase to allow you to increase that revenue.
And you'll see in the same line on page 3 that Leslie pointed out your revenue of, the estimated revenue of $30,916,349.
Wait, which
And
page is
the-
this?
And then the
On
next,
page 3,
the total.
at the very bottom.
and then that next column,
Yep.
the revenues are reduced, and then it removes the local receipts for the
Of
pay-as-you-throw.
250.
So we remove the trash, which
We have to.
went one direction, then we remove the
And
Yeah.
from the
bag fees,
revenues
which
is-
went the
yeah.
other direction.
Right.
Okay.
Which is why that number is
215,000 lower.
215,000 lower.
Yep.
Exactly.
Do we have a plan to account for that if needed?
That does that.
Oh, okay, so that's including
If the
that.
trash removal program in town is removed, those revenues are removed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's why the budget cuts
Are a little
on the
lower.
final page are $200,000 over what you would anticipate,
Oh, okay.
because you're subtracting the 215 for pay-as-you-throw, which brings you down to the, so I recognize that this is probably the clumsiest budget presentation you've ever received. However,
No.
it may be, or maybe not, but it is clumsy. Traditionally, we would have a more detailed line by line, and we can still absolutely do that at your next meeting. I just wanted to make sure that I was bringing you what I said I would bring you, which is what our best view is. If you want to sustain the services, you're looking at a potential override, should you decide to ask for that.
Right,
at
but those are the
725.
choices,
Right.
that we don't want it, or we do want
Right.
it, are the two opinions
Yeah.
that were
Yeah,
voiced
yeah.
earlier,
And
you know?
And I knew you wanted to see exactly where those cuts were. So I'm hoping that this somewhat clumsy, and we can certainly make this available to residents and people that want to
I mean,
see it.
there's other things I would like to say about things that we're doing.
Yeah.
Like the trash, the fact that, the SWAT has done a good job But if we say no, that's a can't recover. That's not like, we're gonna do this next year.
Right.
I don't think that
It's
is
gone.
happening.
That's what all, but that's what all, there's any type of negotiation or quote you get is good for a certain period of time. We are not different. Once that period of time expires, they have the right to go up on their services. We don't own that business. No have a right to dictate.
No,
So,
I mean, but I'm just saying, it's not a
I agree.
check next year, it's not
if we
easy.
close the library, I guarantee you it can't be reopened in a year, nor will we ever get certifications to open that library again as standing. But, so I'd say this, in front of the select board right now, what you're asking is, are you asking us to take a vote to put forward the budget? I mean, it is a town administrator budget.
I understand. I've been told.
And you're here only 3 days, so I think this is good. I think there's been a lot of work done on this, and I know there was a joint meeting that I was not at, that there was a presentation that was put together, kind of outlining a lot of these. I do know there's talk of putting together a smaller, condensed 10-slide budget message with some truths and details, looking at someone in the room. They're all wearing matching today. Do you notice they're all in blue? They're all in like blue matching. All right, so are you asking us today as a board to vote to put these two forward? Or are you asking us just to acknowledge this is what's being put forward? What do you need from us? Besides more days, more days to.
More days.
More days to
No.
put it.
So, I guess before I answer that question, I will also want to make sure that the caveat is there and that it's very clear that this is a one-year fix. This is not a projected out 3-4 years. This is FY '26. And it does not address your structural deficit. You're still using free cash, which we've all noted was 308. So my age, I'm looking for feedback, maybe or not. I mean, I understand it's a town administrator's budget, right? But you as the select board and the finance committee will be the ones that are bringing this to your neighbors and asking them to support it. If you feel that this is a number that can be supported, that we can then yes, please, like, let's take a vote, and then we as a staff can get to work on putting together the information that allows you to move forward.
Before real quick. So, I see what's before us. I think that if I've learned anything about being in this role, when it comes to a question like this or a real cut in the services, this is a large cut. We've done smaller things to adjust budgets, to fix things. This is a large service cut that personally, I don't want this board to make a decision to cut trash here. I think that it is a decision that goes to town meeting, and if town meeting says, I don't want an override, I want you to make this happen, and they're willing to do it, I think that's a decision for the residents. I think the residents, we have to make a lot of decisions sometimes here, but I think the residents need to make these type of decisions. So I think having two options, like we normally do, this is a balanced budget, this is what we're gonna have to do to your budget. Option 2 is, well, it's option 1, this is an override to keep your service. Option 2 is your budget with cuts. That needs to go in front of them, and being that I was there last year and went through the multi-year, the story hasn't changed. There might be different players trying to spout their story or what they believe a budget fix for a town is. It hasn't changed. It's the same story, it's the same slides, it's the same educational session. It's just different faces trying to own the narrative to it, and I'm okay with that. But I would say I want the town residents to make that decision, and however they vote, I'll just stand behind it and we'll figure out a way to do it. So I'm there. Now, Mark, I know your hand was up. It's you. Go.
I want to bring up that this isn't only our town having this problem. This is all over the place. I mean, this is a bigger thing, which is probably more indicative of Prop 2.5 being a little bit slim. Maybe it was fine for many, many years, but I think it's sort of chiseled down a lot of towns' working budgets or something like that. And we're not the only ones doing this. Not that that's better, but it's true. I don't know if they have other ideas in other towns that we could glob off of or something like that.
Not really.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I've been watching some of the other towns just to see how civil our town is over these. Some of the meetings actually are scary. I feel bad, because Jay, I can't tell if you're talking, because where I'm sitting, there's like a glare right over your face. No, you're good? No, it's not you, it's in the,
Yeah, I'm fine.
oh, no
On
questions?
occasion, on occasion, I'm muting myself, but that's just because I'm,
Got that,
yeah.
all right.
The other one was that there's talk, or clearly there's an opinion to not cut the trash and cut other things. I mean, I don't know if that's possible at all. I don't know if there's a way to address that and ask that question. Oh, do you want
All right. Are you representing as chair of FinCom? Are you coming to speak? Yes.
We don't have quorum, so formally,
Yep.
no, but.
You can, as the chair, you can speak. I'm not,
Just don't
depends on
commit
what you're gonna
yourself,
say, though. I might nicely shut you down, depending on if you're not speaking on FinCom.
I won't take it personally, and it won't be the first time. Ray Burkalt, 175 Prescott. The Finance Committee had committed to actually doing a informational tour, setting dates in theory. We haven't confirmed them yet, in early April. In theory, one would be at the school, one at the senior center, so there'll be opportunity for people to hear those details. We'd also discussed, but not voted on with the Finance Committee, of presenting an abbreviated budget message at town meeting. I assume the Finance Committee will gain concurrence for that, but it's a proposal at this point. And that would be a much abbreviated version of the more detailed review. But the budget message we had intended to present is, okay, here's some facts. We'll cut down the number of graphs and charts so that it's a little less technical, but talk about options. So pay-as-you-throw is one option, cutting departments is another option, and with the intention of getting the feedback from the voters as to, can we gain consensus? Every option has warts. It's a question of picking which one you want to go with. But that's the intention at this point.
Okay.
Does the person
Thank
who
you.
wanted the form want to go to these and help? This isn't coming from earlier.
They're not responding to comments, I told them I couldn't, so. But if someone wanted to show up to the educational session and provide input, I'm not gonna turn them down.
That's you.
So,
Okay.
all right.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
So I know that we obviously have to present both budgets. Do we, as a select board, do we endorse one or the other?
We can endorse, typically when we actually go through all the articles, as we did last time, and the select board puts forward, members of the select board can endorse, any of the articles.
Recommends approval.
Yep, we recommend approval. We've actually recommended things not get approved. And then the other boards actually follow suit. I think it's maybe before us, FinCom does recommend for approval. School board, recently we've requested for them to do that. That's not typical for them, but this is normal for our process once we have them and the language for each of the items. My only concern here is with process. You have to have this on a ballot, which means you have to have the words on the ballot. Government requires, I thought it was 45 days.
The 29th is our deadline, of the 29th of this month, to be able to notify the town clerk of what that
What
ballot
has to be-
question. And it will have to have the number on it.
And that was a little odd last year because even though it got voted down at town meeting for the multi-year override, it's still legally, we can't modify the ballot, so it will be on the ballot. So I want to just remind folks, because that was a big thing that I received requests about. It is not that we're sneaking something through. They require us, I would have loved to remove it, they required us to have it on there. So you have this month till a certain period of time where you have to put, if you do both of these, you have to put them both out there. Even if it is voted down at town meeting, we are not allowed to legally touch that ballot. So it'll still be sitting there. And even if it is voted, if everyone votes for that on that budget, whatever that could be, it still wouldn't pass at that budget. We'd have to have a special meeting, right? Or would it pass at the ballot box? And
So,
if it's
So-
vote down,
the state does not get involved in which order.
which order, so
that
it
you do
doesn't,
that.
okay.
It's that you have to do both. So
Yep.
theoretically, you could have had it fail at town meeting, pass at the
And ballot.
ballot, and then you could have called
Special.
another special
Yeah.
town meeting, and it could theoretically have passed
Okay.
at that next town meeting.
So the process still stands, even if it passes at the ballot box, we would still have
It
to have a
just all
special
has to be
meeting.
done
Okay,
within 45 days of each other.
45 days, okay.
So if it passes the town meeting and then fails at the ballot box, what happens?
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
If it passes the town meeting and fails at the ballot box, what happens?
So the same, so if that would be the select board's decision, they could bring it back for another election. You can bring it to election as many times as your select board wants to. I'm not suggesting that they do, I'm just telling you what the general law
What-
allows for.
What's that, Jay, go ahead?
Yeah, I just object to taking questions from the audience at this point. This is not public session. This is not public comments. This is a presentation.
Totally understand. Thank you for the input.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was normally shut everyone down, so I figured for the first time I wasn't gonna do it, so it worked out. No, but I think, education, that also, probably we should put something out about that, because that was really, we have never been through this, so I think we're all learning. One more, and then I'm gonna.
Well, I'm just gonna
request,
address
go
the
ahead.
question. Should we, recommend approval of both? I mean, I think that we need to have a budget, and if the event happens where the override budget doesn't pass and we don't have the other budget, then we don't have a budget. So I think maybe we endorse both with with comment that the one is better for services, one is better for lower taxes or something like that.
I'd like to have all, I'm not against either, but I'd like to have all of the endorsements instead of doing this one-off, and then, once they're all in front of us, what happens here is a reality. Someone can then make a motion not to endorse it when we have the full list of them in front of us, so we can do it either way, because you guys can make a motion without my
Are these two
permission, 'cause
budget?
I don't motion.
Are these both separate items on the
They
warrant?
have to be separate,
Okay.
right? So on the warrant,
I
it's
don't
two
think we did that.
separate. Yes, it was. It was a budget, and then we had a base budget, because there's also two different ladies.
There's two lines on the warrant, one for budget, one for override.
Go ahead.
There were two motions
Yep.
under one article.
Yeah.
So the motion would contain both. That's why I titled
Worded
them
it.
Motion A and Motion B, because I believe that is how they will show up at town meeting with the article. The article is to pass the budget, and then the motion contains the detail of which budget you will pass, and we will obviously confirm with town council how we need to do this, but I believe it's an exact replica of what we did last year.
Yep.
Because we had a
Makes the whole
budget
thing.
that allowed us to spend the override money if it passed at the ballot box, but then our hands were not tied if it did not pass. We still had a budget that was approved by town meeting that we could proceed on July 1 with.
Does that help you?
Well, then that makes it a whole different question. It's, do we want to recommend approval of the budget? I mean, it would be like of course we do. You know, because there's only one article.
I mean, we're not doing that tonight,
No, I know.
but in theory, I think it's something as a board that we should think about, that we might want to consider. I mean, I think each of us will, I think it's our duty to tell people, what the facts are, but it's also our opinions. That's why we're voted in, to have an opinion and to make that opinion known.
Sort of. Like they still vote.
All
Yes,
right.
they still vote, but I can
So-
say I personally endorse
Yes, okay.
something.
You would like me, not me, but this board, someone to make a motion to approve these two options, to at least start the process for educational sessions, give the number up front, and at least get us to a point where we could start, we're gonna socialize this, start getting this out there and get kind of reactions, feedback. You can do more slides, Mark can raise his hand, go ahead.
Should I play the Crowley and say, has FinCom seen this?
Yes,
Have they approved this?
yes.
FinCom has seen this one? Have you seen this one?
Same time you did.
Same time you did.
Did they vote on it?
They have a meeting
They haven't had a
tomorrow
meeting
night.
yet.
Tomorrow night.
Should we see what their recommendation is?
So we
I'm
just
playing the
hold our
Crowley
meeting
still.
tonight.
Yeah, we'll just stay. All right, everybody get comfortable.
So I don't know if it changes the outcome, because you're gonna present this. This doesn't look too far off from what we saw and what you saw last Thursday. So it's a very minor, I think, adjustments here, but
It's actually, there were a lot of numbers last Thursday.
39 pages.
But, no,
It was
there were,
39
no,
slides.
there were a lot of, potential
Options.
deficit numbers that were discussed. I think I heard 900, I heard 700, I heard 300, so.
There are in fact two presentations.
Right,
I mean-
right. So I think that we'll have another meeting on the 30th. It'll be a day beyond your ballot, so you'd have to have a special
I
meeting.
have a meeting on the 30th for the planning board. It's
Well,
a
no,
public
but
hearing.
so I think we have one, I thought we had one May.
No?
So we'll work on putting together a special meeting next week to get on the
Okay.
agenda, so, do you want us to react in this today? Do you want us to wait till next week? I think we need to get some of this, listen, you're fine. So what I would say.
I believe-
Conditionally, I would say the board make a motion to conditionally approve what's presented in front of us, have that sit in front of FinCom tomorrow night at their meeting, and then that at least gets some of this, some more detail besides what we had for the Thursday meeting out to the public, gets reaction and input, and then it lets us get something, because we're running out of time, and I'd hate to make a knee-jerk reaction. Do I have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion to provisionally approve this pending the FinCom's review.
Second.
Vanessa's a second. Jay?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mark?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
All right, now, see you tomorrow night at FinCom. All right, so I hope you have nothing else on that town meeting bullet item.
Show you this.
I just have one thing. So you guys
Okay.
typically approve the town meeting mailer. I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask that going forward that we don't need to approve it. So in the years past, there was lots of information on the mailer itself. If you recall, it had the recycling information. It had, news and announcements from other departments. So we don't do that anymore. It's kind of just a standard
The only thing I was,
postcard that goes out.
Of the date and time of the town meeting.
Yeah.
the only thing that I think we discussed it, I don't remember the outcome was, there was some green communities requirement to send something out, and we usually incorporated that on the town mailer.
So that will be on our website, because this directs you to the
And
website, so all of that will be on the website, so I'm not gonna ask that the board needs to approve this mailer anymore.
But does that still meet, I don't even know what the requirement for green
The
communities was.
RDP grant stuff, yeah.
Does it
So
still meet the requirement?
I don't want to vote on that tonight, because in the 4 years I've been, there's only been one that didn't have errors. 2 years ago, the QR code didn't work. The year before that, there was a grammar edit and the link didn't work. We need revision, because there's just too many inaccuracies, and I don't want it going out with that.
I'll make the motion in the negative to not send out a mailer. I'll make that motion. If there's a second, we can figure that out.
I'd say we had a survey saying they like the mailer.
But it's a budget item.
It doesn't.
How much it costs, $1,000?
We can decide that for the next town meeting,
$1,500.
but currently we
Yeah.
already decided to have
So
it.
I'd like to, the goals, I know we approve it
So your
now.
next meeting next week, we'll approve it.
We'll approve it next week, okay.
I
All
still,
When is this meeting
I'm
next week?
upset, I'm upset.
Go ahead, you can make the
It's
motion.
$1,500,
Okay, go ahead, make the
and that's
motion.
why I'm saying we shouldn't send out the mailer, we'll save $1,500.
Okay, do I have a second? Jay, do I have a second?
Okay, if Raj was,
Vanessa, have a
if
second?
Raj was here, he'd second it.
Okay, no, wait, I'm gonna second it for discussion. So, discussion is, I think we have an aging community and some people do use this. I understand we wanna get rid of it. I'm not sure I'm comfortable at this one, But I
You
wanna
said that it's
honor.
wrong most of the time.
I wanna honor the fact that you made the motion. So,
I also just have one quick comment. I think that, we should do another survey again, and maybe it'll be different results.
The survey is not the vote. This is the
No,
vote.
but I think
Do
that we
wanna
should
vote
take the
to
people's
not spend
survey
$1,500?
results into consideration.
the vote is to get rid of the mailer. It's on our floor. We're gonna do,
I just think that, we have a difficult time getting out messaging to our community as it is. I don't think we want to remove this as an opportunity to reach out and communicate to folks. There's got to be other means by which we can inform folks, but the mail still, it's still an opportunity to reach folks that might not be otherwise connected. I think it's our obligation to make sure that we're communicating as much as possible.
all right, so are you a vote yes or no to get rid of the mailer?
I'm going to not vote for that.
So it's a no vote for it?
It's just seeking clarification. A no vote does what?
A no vote means that we keep the mailer and it goes out.
No.
Okay. No?
I'm a yes that we stop doing the mailer.
Vanessa, no.
Okay. Now I'm sorry.
That's good.
Okay. All right. But thank you. See you at the next one. All right. Don't even know where I'm at, so what's next on the, is it the town administrator?
No, you have meeting invitations?
Well,
Sound like
hers,
cleanup,
I was
that's
gonna say, there isn't a town administrator report, but I have one in front of me. So do we wanna go through the town administrator report?
I can talk fast.
Okay, go for it.
So first of all, thank you for having me. That's the first thing. Thank you for enduring a very clumsy budget presentation, and we will work on that messaging going forward. The first item I have to let you know about is that we received a grant award in the amount of $7,750 from the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security in the Department of Fire Services. These grant funds will be used for the purchase of thermal imaging camera. Thank you to the chief. He's continuously working hard at not only searching for grants, but applying and receiving them. Thank you, chief, for your work on this grant. The town Veterans Service Officer received notice on August of 2024 that due to annual hours, due to the number of hours that they were working, that the town would no longer have accreditation for veteran services and veterans benefits. This was obviously distressing. The Massachusetts Chapter 115 claims were still able to be processed, but it still limited the amount of resources that our agent had access to. Veterans have been referred to a local national service officer until a resolution was obtained, and we're happy to say that Faye and myself and Jake, our veteran service officer, were able to sit down and figure out a way forward. We were able to get a commitment of the 19.25 hours and find some interim funding to be able to make that happen and create a plan for FY26. That documentation was submitted to the state, and our accreditation should be resolved hopefully by the end of the week.
That's great.
So I put that in a giant check column.
Nice.
3 days, nice.
3 days.
Nice.
Well, really,
Faye.
Faye, but. I'll
4
take it.
days,
Yeah.
4 days, Faye, you had.
Our Woosocks Town Takeover date has been set for August 5th, 2025. Mark your calendars, that's gonna be a great day. We have a memorandum of understanding with the City Worcester Alliance for our public health services. And we have been, the West Boylston Board of Health has been working with the towns of Shrewsbury and Grafton to create a smaller public health district that would better suit the demographic needs of those communities rather than participating in the larger Worcester Alliance. The State Department of Public Health is supportive of that initiative, and we had a meeting Monday. We had a meeting Monday to work on how to extract ourselves from that alliance and enter into this smaller agreement. So we'll be probably moving forward with that and bringing that to you, as well as the Board of Health in the next couple of meetings. We met with the outgoing Council on Aging Director to discuss that transition plan to ensure that services and programming remain in place throughout the month of May, which is of our, our immediate concern, but certainly until a new executive director can be recruited and onboarded. We have advertised that position, and we're hoping that we'll have a good update for you at your next meeting. And lastly, you might well imagine that I have been allowed out of that conference room for a couple of minutes here and there. And so I've been able to meet with some staff, committee members, in particular the ADA Commission. Had a good session with them and with the Veterans Coffee Hour this morning. So I've been able to meet and introduce myself to a number of people and look forward to meeting more. And office door is always open. Stop on by.
It's
Thank
open?
you. It's open. Why?
We'll have to fix that.
We're gonna have to close that door, go ahead.
No.
On the Worcester Alliance modification, how involved is the Board of Health? Because I know that they would love to be more involved. I mean, not that they have
No,
trouble
they
with
are,
it.
they are driving.
They are the one who
They
brought this up?
Yes, they actually,
good.
so, before I got on the call with the state and everybody, I talked to Bob, to make sure that I had his input.
Okay.
He was very pleased that it was moving forward, and they
Okay.
certainly support this.
Okay, Board of Health does a great job, so I just want
Yeah.
them, their input.
One of the conditions that they have is that they really do like the staff that they're working with
I was
in
gonna say that too,
Worcester.
but I
Yeah.
figured,
And so I certainly relayed that message to both the Worcester Alliance as well as the state, that we have no complaints with the actual staff, the service that the staff is providing. It's really that the alliance itself is addressing concerns that are not accurate or appropriate for West Boylston.
okay. Excellent.
All right, thank you for your report. Moving on, so we have meetings, invitations, and announcement. Before we get started on the announcements, I'm just gonna do an announcement as a select board member and chair. It's come to this board a few times, questions, public comment about the situation pertaining to what happened with Mr. Ryan, and at a request, compiling the questions from public, questions we received via email that we could vet, that were people asking questions. We drafted kind of the questions, what we as us as a person could answer when it wasn't to do with personnel matters. And we sent those over to KP Law to say, here's what we would like to do. Please give us your feedback on kind of how we do this as board members. And I would like to, as an announcement, read kind of that feedback from KP Law. So attached are the draft questions, answers that we provided KP Law. And the response from KP Law is not without standing, but purely legal perspective. Having this type of discussion, in my opinion, in an open session would be very risky and could create potential liability. This is essentially true, since this relates to personnel and matters involving three members, three personnel folks of the town, so 3 members and a former member employee. There is also the threat of litigation and the legal demand letter that we've received. So any further discussion would actually put us in a crosshairs of examination and can be used by council in any potential lawsuits for all parties involved, including the 3 current employees of the town. This narrows and limits the ability for us to discuss and to grant an open discussion with current or former employees. I wanted to read this because this is new for me. This is something new that we received. There was a lot of work putting all that stuff together and getting it and kind of getting answers to it. And I would say at this point with the demand, and we're about to go into another item on this agenda, the board would not have a public session to openly comment because it would put further risk on the town for litigation. I know there will be comments said about this, but I at least wanted to give someone so there was no stall. Next item I have is townwide cleanup, May 17th, 2025. Very excited to run this. This is a great event. We have a ton of kids that show up, a ton of families that come together. I'd like to get people assigned for every street. There is an online form. We also provide you lunch. And I'm not making it, so it's great. No, but there's some great items that happens here at the town hall. There will be Helpsy Bens at the town hall from the 12th to the 17th. So you have to bring bagged textile items to the town hall. Faye loves that. You put them in the bins and they actually take those away. That means less money in trash, less money in tipping fees. And if you have any questions, reach out. And then I was also just gonna say for announcements, I was able to attend with another board member actually, and our new town administrator at the senior center, they had a veterans meeting. It was wonderful. I got to meet some great folks and kind of hear some of their struggles. And for me, I hadn't been to that before, so it's just trying to figure out how to engage maybe them and help folks kind of move along and have different services. Now we'll go through. Jay, do you have any meeting invitations or announcements?
I do not.
Vanessa?
I do. I have 2. Not an invitation or announcement. This is a future agenda item, or is that next?
I
Sorry.
have an announcement on an invitation first.
Sorry, am I
Go,
skipping
just go
ahead?
ahead.
Okay. Sorry.
We'll do it completely out of order.
All right, I have 2 requests. One is to somehow, I don't know who organizes this, but somehow make an effort to have the athletic department's sports practices, cancel all practices for May 19th after 6 p.m. so that more people are able to attend town meeting. I would like to request that.
You want to make friends, huh?
I just think it's important that people voice their opinions twice a year. My second is now that we have a new town administrator, and I'm not saying now, but in the near future, I'm hoping that we can get meeting minutes up to date on our website. There's some boards that have not updated them in months, and a couple months is okay, but going past 6 months, in my opinion, is not doing due diligence.
I'll follow on that one
Go
and
for
do
it.
my announcement.
You
Actually,
can
just to
do
spice it up,
whatever you want.
I'm gonna do my announcement first. Planning board's having a public hearing about floodplain overlay changes. It's not really it's substantial, but it's not a big change. But that's on the 30th in the planning board. Oh, actually, it's up here. It's gonna be hybrid. The other one is on the idea of minutes. An agenda item would be to investigate some way to collectively have a person who does everybody's minutes, all the board's minutes, because I don't like doing them, period.
All
I
right.
want it to be AI, yes, that's true.
All right, any other future agenda items or select board reports? All right, hearing none. At this time, our next agenda item is an executive session under MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation in an open, and I deem as chair that in an open meeting it may be detrimental at the effect of the bargaining or litigation position of the public body. And this is a demand letter sent to us from Mr. Ryan. We will not come back into open session, we will adjourn in executive session. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Second.
Jay?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Mark?
Yes.
Vanessa?
Yes.
Thank you, folks. I will see you at the next meeting.